Yo, and welcome to another episode of You Feel That with Bryce the Third, the best podcast there is for aspiring change makers looking to learn how to master their emotions. I am, of course, your host, Bryce the Third, coming back to you today with a very special episode, running back one of my favorite episodes today, the one with my mom. So before we started having guests on, I was looking around for who I could have on the show. And of course, my mom was the first that came to mind just because of the relationship that her and I have. On this episode, we played this card game. We are not really strangers, and they will eventually sponsor this damn show. No, I'm playing, but maybe not playing. But we played this card game, and it's a card game that has like different prompts that you could ask people. And I think it's good. That's a good practice to like dig in and delve into relationships, like asking questions. So you can uncover things about a person that you may not have uncovered had you not asked these questions, right? But I think it's also important to ask questions in the relationships that maybe we have, I won't say taken advantage of, but are so used to. Like, me and my mom's relationship, of course, I've known her my whole life, right? So like to have a conversation where I'm asking her questions, this conversation really like helped me. I think it was really a step in my own personal life of building a new relationship with my mom where we are open, honest, transparent, and I get to see her more as a person. And I mean, not to say that we haven't had conversations like this previously, but I think the intentional fire starting, which is having these conversations with people that have been in our lives so that we can cultivate a new relationship is very important. And this was a very important episode for me because she was my first guest, and then we got to have this conversation in public. And I listened back to it, and I just realized like how much I really love my mom, how much I really love my mother and I's relationship, and how much I am grateful to be able to have a platform to be able to share this with you all. And so we're running that back today. So just in case you haven't heard it, you can hear it for the first time. And if you have heard it, like you get an opportunity to revisit it with the extra context that this conversation that we had in public with you all in tow really sparked some conversations behind the scenes where I became really curious as to how to show up for my mom, feeling and you'll hear in the episode that there was some things that she expressed that just kind of let me know like, oh, I can lean in a bit more as part of your support system because we all we got, and I got your back. And just to hear her excitement to pursue different avenues within her career and like what really excites her, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. So of course this is one of the run back episodes, and I'm excited to run that back for you today. So before we get into the run back, I want to let you know that at the end of this episode, we will be doing a guided meditation, a short guided meditation. I'm super excited in this season of my life to be able to share with you the practices that have allowed for me to be well. And I think, a lot of times people don't start meditating because they don't have like an on-ramp, or they feel like it's impossible or they can't do it. So you don't have to stick around after the show to listen to it or sit with us. But, it's highly suggested that you do, because meditation is top three of the things that have allowed for me to show up for life on life's terms and cultivate a new relationship with myself. And I'm excited to share that with you in alignment with today's episode. So without further ado, this is episode 19 of You Feel That. I play We Are Not Really Strangers with my mom. Enjoy.
I want somebody to wake up one day and say, oh, Miss Karen told me that 10 years ago. And here it is now coming to fruition. I just strive to, in the end, my higher being tells me that I've done a good job.
Hey, you feel that?
You are now tuned into You Feel That with Bryce the Third.
Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to You Feel That with Bryce the Third, the show where we turn your I can'ts into I got this by providing you with tools and ways of looking at life that empower you emotionally and mentally, no matter what field you are in. I am, of course, your host, Bryce the Third, here with a very special guest today. Somebody that I don't know at all. I've never met her a day in my life, and she's a freaking stranger to me. No, it is Miss Karen Davis. Who is Karen Davis, you ask? Is it Angela Davis' cousin? It might be. You'll never fucking know until I tell you that this is my mom. So today I decided doing guests on You Feel That is a new thing, and I decided for my first guest to be my mother. and we are going to have some conversation, and I hope it will be enlightening. I hope it will be heartfelt, and I know it'll be all of the above, because this is the woman that raised me. Everything that you all have been exposed to, all of my creations, whether it be a book or music or these podcast episodes or Instagram posts, like all of that is birthed from this woman here. So without further ado, I'll let her, how are you doing this evening, Miss Karen Davis?
Doing wonderfully this evening. Thank you for asking. It's a tad bit cold here in Michigan, but I have blankets and a onesie.
Yeah, y'all should see her in her Justice League onesie. She ain't watched one Marvel movie, and she got
I watched
Justice League onesie on. She always looks super toasty. So, getting straight into it, tell my audience a bit about yourself. What is it that you would like our audience to know about who Karen Davis is?
Well, the most important part is you've already said it. I'm your mother and my daughter's mother, Vashti. I'm a constant learner. I just finished my master's degree. I'm trying very hard not to go for the PhD. Very hard. I'm a thinker. I'm a reader. I'm a jigsaw puzzler. I am mother to 2 German shepherds and 3 cats who I share my space with. I had to put them all out for this, though, because you'd have seen them walking across the screen.
Yeah, you would have heard them, too.
You still might.
Biting each other's ass.
Oh, I work for the state. I've been there 42 years. It's time for me to find something new. Have no clue where I'm headed to. But I want to make a difference in the world at this point. I want to do something meaningful.
Yes. Something of significance. One thing about the podcast, you feel that, is that thus far, I haven't had any guests, and most of the time, like, I will just kind of do a straight through, and then I'll go in and I'll chop it up and I'll edit it. And I really want to get more towards like free-form conversation, especially when I have guests on, and just kind of really allow it to be what it is, and really like give the listeners and viewers insight into the process of creating things. People who have been here since episode 1 will likely see the growth and development to episode 500. But we're in it for the long run, and we're going to continue to make it happen, and we're going to continue to, put this effort in to make this show something that contributes significantly to people's lives, like that significance that you say that you seek. See how I brought it back together? Yeah, this is championship. Yeah. So, my mom, guys, is a reference point for a lot of the stuff that we talk about here on You Feel That. When I first started You Feel That, I wanted to create a space where people who felt big emotions could come, feel expressed, and gain and pick up tools that they're able to apply to their own lives that help to empower them and not debilitate them. And ever since I can remember, since I was a shorty, like, I always felt like big feelings. So much so that it contributed to the name of this podcast, You Feel That, because I would look around like, damn, you don't feel that? You don't feel that? So my mom, though, has always been like a big reference point for me in what it is to love, and what it is to be cared for, and what it is to care for other people. When I tell you, like, when I was growing up, I had all type of different people just living in the house with me. Like, who the fuck is this time? Like, and they would be there for like months on end. Like, yeah, we live here now. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, my mom would take in anybody. My mom that has a bleeding heart would help out anybody. You needed a pack of cigarettes, she got you. She, so she was always that reference point for, like, right now, like, I'm plotting on, my daughter has crossing guards at school, and I thought about like taking them like hot drinks, like, let me just grab like 4 teas and give them to all the crossing guards, because it's cold as shit out here. But I don't know whether they're gonna like the teas or the coffee or whatnot like that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get them a gift card, and I'm gonna give them each a gift card. But like I don't think I'd even have that thought if it wasn't for the reference point of my mom, who would do these things. And I would look at my mom like damn, like, nobody else is doing that. Like, why did you do that? But like now, growing up and having had experience in a world where it can get kind of chilly temperature wise, but spiritually as well, and to have that experience with somebody who actually sees you for a second, like, thank you for your service, here goes a $5 gift card, I don't know your name, but I see you every day and I see the work that you put in, and I appreciate you, and I see you here, take this. Like, I get that from my mom. My mom gave me that reference point. So because my mom gave me a reference point for what love is, and this is a podcast about emotions, we gonna use this self-love edition for We Are Not Really Strangers pack, and we gonna pull a couple of cards, and I'm just gonna ask my mom the random questions that I pull, and we gonna allow her to give her answer to these questions. How does that sound, Miss Davis?
Yay.
Okay, so let's go here. I picked a card. What are 3 things I love about my physical appearance? Permission to brag.
Is this me or?
This is you. This is a question I'm asking you. What are 3 things I love about my physical appearance? Permission to brag.
Well, I love my self-worth. I love my giving heart, and I absolutely love my teeth and my smile.
Yes, yes, yes. I love your teeth and your smile too. Because when I see it, it brightens my day, but also because genetically, I got my smile passed down. So my smile is a derivative of your smile. If there was no your smile, there would be no my smile.
No, your smile.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, cool. Let's get deep. Let's get deep. New question. How have I been underselling myself? Perhaps unintentionally. Well,
I know one major way that I've been underselling myself is having worked for the same department for 42 years. They can't afford my gifts and my abilities. I am not utilizing my skill set, which is why in looking for something else to ride out my working career, I want it to be something meaningful. I don't know. I haven't given it a lot of thought yet into which direction that I want to go. Is it going to be working with alternative programs for girls? Is it going to be working with the homeless vets? I'm just not sure which direction I want to go, but doing the same thing that I do right now every day. I'm good at what I do, but the same thing over and over I can do is standing on my head with my eyes closed and my hands tied behind my back. I want somebody to wake up one day and say, oh, you know, Miss Karen told me that 10 years ago. And here it is now coming to fruition. I just strive to, in the end, my higher being tells me that I've done a good job.
No, that's absolutely beautiful. How important do you think that it is that the work that we do has meaning?
I think it's very important. The world is on a journey. The people in this world are on a journey. People in this life are on a journey. Some people don't know which direction to go. And if it becomes my responsibility or my duty to not force them, but to be able to lead them to the water and suggest why it would be a good thing to drink it. And if I succeed with one person, then I've had a successful life. Would I like it to be more? Absolutely. And I think I probably have touched more, but I'm not done. I'm not done yet.
I know if you set your mind and your heart to something, you're going to knock it out. You're going to get it done for real.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just haven't said it to anything yet.
When was the last time I shared my truth, even though it felt risky?
I don't share my truth with many because many that surround me don't possess the capacity. My truth is my vulnerability, and I don't like sharing my vulnerabilities with people that can use it against me. So the truths that I share, honestly and truly, are with my children because they will accept me for who I am. And that may be a down point, but that's my reality. I don't talk a lot about my life or my vulnerabilities.
So, man, I kind of want to magnify this because if our truth is our vulnerability and our truth is really part of our expression, and I've just come to find in the little time that I've been here that expression is what creates a fulfilled life. When I feel expressed, I feel fulfilled. When I feel understood, I feel fulfilled. So what do you think for you would create an environment that would allow for you to be vulnerable 100% of the time?
I don't know that one exists that would allow me to be vulnerable 100% of the time. I am the rock for a lot of people. I don't really even see that being a possibility.
Well, you know how we talk here on You Feel That? The world that we believe exists is the world that exists. There's 7 billion different people on the planet. So each one of those people has their own reality. And when we say things like, I don't believe that exists, then I mean, that's, you know, that's the truth. But is that what you would want to exist? Is that the world you want to live in? Is that your desired reality? Are you okay with that? How's that working for you?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. There are times when I need to break down emotionally, and I'm okay with how I choose to do that. I can break down emotionally watching a movie. I can break down emotionally listening to some music. And when I do that, my soul is actually cleansed. And I can get up the next day and continue on my journey, and I'm happy about it.
So let's zoom in on a breakdown. Is this breakdown, like the word breakdown that you use? Because I have my own definition of breakdowns, because I've had a few this year, maybe two big ones. Mm-hmm. But from what I'm hearing that you're sharing, you know, watching a movie or listening to some music, that seems more like catharsis, where it's like, okay, I have this pent up energy and maybe I just need to cry. So maybe I'll watch a sad movie and I'll get this crying out, or maybe I'll listen to a song and that'll flow. Now, is this a cathartic action, or are you actually addressing the thing that needs to come out, the specific thing that needs to come out?
That's funny that you say that, because yes, that is one of my tools when I become full. That is one of my tools that I'll utilize to release some of those pressures. But I really did have a breakdown. It was early on. It was during the Jill Scott, Erykah Badu verses.
Mm-hmm.
And
good verses.
Yes. Well, both of them are top favorite artists in my life. So I'm sitting here by myself in the living room with some wine, watching the verses, and, you know, they're upholding each other. They're talking about how, first of all, let's just say this is not a battle. We are really friends. And they were holding each other up as queens should. So my first thought took me to, why can't all women, and maybe especially black women, because I'm a black woman, I can't speak for other people, but why can't we all hold each other up to a high esteem? Why can't we compliment each other? Why can't we be there for each other? They were holding each other as queens should, upholding each other. One would sing a song and the other one would talk about what she was doing when that one was writing the song, and complimenting each other. So my first thought went into, why can't we as women do this? It was wonderful. And so I was feeling, you know, pretty good, kind of emotional, but pretty good, because people that I know don't always uphold each other. Women that I know don't always uphold each other. But then my thought process slipped into the state of the world. The pandemic at that time was really going on, and it got away from me. The only thing that I could do at that point was get out a good cry. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you called me during that cry. I answered the phone so you would know that I was okay. But I was like, I can't talk right now. I'm going back. And it was an ugly cry. But we deal with so much on a day-to-day basis with our emotions. Right now, we're coming up on the holidays. For me, the holidays have been emotional since I lost my mom. I lost my dad. I'm still trying to be a mother and a grandmother, but that doesn't negate the fact that I was a daughter. And you trudge through it, but then comes a time when just one little thing may happen and you're sad again. So sometimes you need to have that good cry to just kind of cleanse your innards, cleanse your soul, and gives you a renewed spirit to begin again.
Yeah,
That's the only answer I have.
I definitely agree, and I cry all the time. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not gonna hold it in. My foundational emotional understanding of my life is built upon intentionality. A better way to say that is, I have process that I practice on a daily basis to make sure that I check in with myself as to how I'm feeling. And even with that intentional process, and some of the things that we teach here, you feel that there's still times where things will creep up on me that maybe I didn't necessarily expect would pop up. But my emotions aren't built on a house of cards. And what can end up happening when we build our emotional relationship on a house of cards is anything can happen, and it can trigger an emotional reaction that we weren't necessarily expecting. Like, whether it be a flood of tears, whether it be anger. Some people deal with anger issues, anger out of nowhere. Then after they tear up everything and they black out, they look back at the circumstance like, damn, I did all that. I didn't mean to do that. Like, where did that come from? And I know somebody else who's related to me who holds it all in. And then when it snaps, it's like, and then afterwards, it's like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do any of that. But it's because you don't really look at yourself on a daily basis and take inventory as to the things that might be building up on you. And we can only give that which we possess. So if we don't look at ourselves, if we don't look at the things that may be bothering us, that we may be holding, if we don't get around supportive community and find a place where we can be expressed, like, it'll be a moment where it's like, damn, like, the whole weight of the world is on my shoulders right now. And I feel like I'm supposed to be this rock. And I guess this is the time. It's a public platform, but I do want to tell you, like, you don't have to be a rock all the time. Like, you can be, what's the opposite of a rock? I don't fucking know. Like, you could be water. You could be another element. You don't always have to be a rock. And I think that I can kind of embody that as well, where it's like, I got so much going on. I can feel like, oh, it's on me to make this thing happen. Oh, especially when I'm an innovator and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a creative and I see all these things happening before they happen, and I got to make them happen, and I got to do this and do that. But it's like, when we take on all that responsibility, we really rob people of the opportunity to be there for us. Like, we rob people of the experience of being able to be there in support of us. And the couple of breakdowns that I've had have been a little bit, always default to this word insidious, but insidious is not the word that I'm thinking of. It's like, it's the word that means it's intricate, but it's not necessarily intricate. It's like interwoven. It was hard to know that this shit was coming. And then when it came, like, I had to let it come. It was a breakdown, like a shaking, crying, like, didn't know who to call ass breakdown. But I had to let it come and process for me to get on the other side of it and see it as the breakthrough that it really was. Because that's what our emotions will do. They'll show up in a way that it's like, oh, you've been ignoring me. And then they'll show up and they'll shake and rattle us in a way that's like, oh, like, pay attention to these things. Just like if we put our hand on the stove and it burns, it's good for us to move our hand away from the stove. If we ignore the pain that the burn gives us, then we're not acting in alignment with our wellness. So yeah.
Can I say something?
Go ahead. No.
You literally did that.
Man, you gonna put me on blast? So we doing childhood story shit on the podcast. So was she speaking of? She's speaking of a time where I went down south with her mom, my granny, and her husband, Papa Paul, and that was back in the day where everything was different. It was a different world. People were smoking on planes. You could smoke wherever. So every car came equipped with like 4 cigarette lighters. Like, every passenger in the car was definitely a smoker. And I decided to put my finger on the hot part of, them little push-in lighters. Like, I pulled that lighter out and it was orange, and I decided to put my finger on the orange part of that lighter, and it was terrible. So maybe that's why I use the finger on or hand on the stove analogy so much, because I literally put my finger on a cigarette lighter. Thanks for putting me on blast, Mom.
I'm just saying, that's bought wisdom.
Yeah. So these days we like to borrow wisdom a little bit more than we buy it.
Well,
and hopefully,
true, but you bought that.
Oh yeah, I bought that shit. So everybody listening, you can borrow that. Don't put your don't put your finger on a cigarette lighter. So
cars don't even come with cigarette lighters nowadays.
Boom. Next question. Sometimes I forget how good I am at. blank?
Right now, I would have to say cooking because I don't cook a lot anymore. But when I do cook, it's good to me. Like, wow, you need to cook more. But why? It's just me. So unless I get those requests, then I don't cook more. I don't like frozen food. So if I cook a big pot, I'm not going to eat it.
All right, cooking. Okay. All right. So next question. Since we're coming towards the end of the year, I don't know exactly when this episode is going to air, but at this point in time, we are getting close to the end of 2021. It's like we missed a whole year for real. COVID has been crazy. But this question is appropriate in asking, what's the biggest improvement I've seen in myself this past year?
How I react and respond to situations, to certain situations. I don't take things personally anymore. Once upon a time, and you talk about it all the time, but once upon a time, somebody might say something and I know it was meant for me. You don't even know me like that. Why are you talking to me like that? Who do you think you are? Now it's like you said, like you always say, as a matter of fact, you are the one that calms me when we're in traffic. When I'm in traffic, like, that idiot, you see what he just did? You're like, Mom, don't do it. You don't know what that guy is going through. Yeah, but, Mom. And I get to thinking about it, it's like, you're right. They may have someplace to be. I have someplace to be too, but I've come to... What?
I got someplace to be too, though, but...
But I'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not really pressed. I'm not pressed to get there. I'll get there when I get there. I don't leave late rushing. If I leave late, then I'm just going to be late. I will pull over to the slow lane and get out the way. I'm not going to hold up somebody that's in the fast lane because you're not going to push me out the way. I talked to a girlfriend the other day who says that she just won't move. I'm telling you, I left work and I must have flipped off 10 people before I got home. I said, do you know that could be grounds for somebody shooting? They shoot on the freeway nowadays. Slide your behind over and get out the way. Yeah, my daughters tell me that all the time. Okay, I'll think about it. She's the one that wants to be upset. And I'm trying to tell her what my son is teaching me. It's not that important.
Yeah.
So I have applied that in other aspects of my life.
How so?
And I see progress. And I'm older, mature, more ripe.
All right, so we'll piggyback off of that segue. I think that's a perfect segue to this next question. How has my confidence increased with age?
Oh, I don't lack confidence at all.
She can I, before you even finish, she does not lack confidence. She never has. She has been, so sometimes I'll put on like different costumes when I move around on this earth and just pretend like with inside of me that I'm somebody else so I can borrow their energy. And when I think about like talking to people that I don't know or I've never met, like I just channel my mom for real. I put my mom costume on because she has no lacking confidence. But okay, continue.
Okay, well, thanks for that testimonial, because I don't. Funny story. When Barack Obama was president, we were talking about something at the job, and I said, the director of our department, which was a man, but just a man. So I talked to him about something. He was retiring, and I wanted to give him a coffee down here, and everybody was like, he just pulled out his phone and gave you a date. I was like, yeah, he's just a man. So next day or so, there was a press conference about some situations going on about ISIS. And the president used the terminology ISIL. I had never heard it. And I felt some type of way because I felt that the people prepping him allowed him to say ISIL. I had never heard it before. So I went to work and I blew out an email that morning. Didn't even think about it. I was like, what is ISIL? I've never heard of it. Why do you all have my president saying the wrong words? Blah, 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 blah. So I was riding to work one morning talking to my cousin. And I said, I don't care who they are. They could be the president, the director of this department, or the president of the United States. Respectfully, I'm going to address you. So I get to work, and I was cleaning out my emails. And I came across something that looked like spam, whatever. I'll come back to it. It was actually an email from the White House. Now, I know it was his people, and they stamped his name on it, but it was an email from the White House explaining to me the difference between the two words, ISIS and ISIL. I immediately picked up the phone and called my cousin and said, see, I told you. It's just the way to do it. Respectfully, of course, but you can't hold me up. I'll talk to anybody about anything.
No matter who it is.
No matter who it is.
No matter who it is. That's a nugget that I think we all could take. Because I think, especially nowadays with these authorities, and like when it comes to painting myself as an authority, like it's very important that I paint the picture of the only true authority in your life being you. So my job is to give you the power to feel empowered within yourself and to have autonomy within yourself. I can't choose how somebody approaches me, but I don't never want nobody to feel like they can't approach me, or I'm unapproachable, or,
right.
or, like I'm bigger, or I'm better than anybody else. Like, no, I want you to understand how big and bad you are, and if need be, you can send an email to the president your damn self, because my mom did, and she got a reply.
I got a reply.
First before last question. So this is kind of digging into what belief about myself is holding me back the most.
Right this very moment, and I don't know of another word to utilize other than lazy, but that's not the word. And I'm saying this to say that for the last 5 years, I was busy. I obtained 3 degrees while taking care of a 90-year-old woman in an assisted living, which required more work than necessary, and taking care of a household, working full time. So when I finished with my last degree, my mental capacity shut down. It's like, okay, it's time for you to breathe. You have nowhere to be other than work, but you have no obligations. You don't have homework every day. You don't have to go to the nursing home every other day. So my body just kind of slowed down. Now, I said I was going to finish out the year and start looking for something at the beginning of the year, which is going to take some giddy up push from myself to do, because I'm comfortable. I have a job. It's not like I'm unemployed. I have a home. I have heat. I have coworkers that live with me. But it's going to be a push for me to start looking. And like I mentioned earlier, I've worked where I worked for 42 years. So it's going to be a little scary to step out into the world looking for another job. And especially the way we are. When I was applying for jobs, we applied for jobs with a paper application face to face. Now everything is electronic, and you got to sell yourself with that piece of paper. So that's a little bit frightening.
Okay. So the second half of that card. So the first half of that card is what belief about myself is holding me back the most. The second part of that card is replace with a positive affirmation. So the affirmation that I drew up for you, and affirmations are weird in the way to where like they have to resonate with us. They have to resonate with our spirit. So this could be a blueprint for an affirmation that you can carry with you as you continue to move. But an affirmation that I drew up for you is, I am not scared to step out into the world and cultivate new opportunity. How does that sound? How does that feel when you hear that?
It sounds great. It sounds like something that I would have said.
So say it with me. I am not scared
I am not scared
to step out into the world
to step out into the world
and cultivate new opportunity.
and cultivate new opportunity.
You know what you just did? You just cast a spell. And now it's in your aura, it's in your essence, and that fear is whoosh, whoosh, it's out of there. It's out of there. So of course it's a practice, but what I believe this card is doing, what is bringing to our attention, getting us intentional about what it is that we feel may be holding us back, because that was the first thing that came to your mind, and so that's been a hindrance. So, and to replace that story with a story that serves us and empowers us, so. I'll be texting this to you after we get off this podcast. You will. So you can say it to yourself in the mirror on a daily basis. So you can do what it is.
Next time you come over, it's going to be on the mirror.
Yeah, you can't be out here just free-handedly, willy-nilly sending presidents emails and not giving a shit in that aspect, but then it was struck with fear when it comes to chasing your own opportunity. We can't have that. There's a misalignment there. So I think this has been a fruitful conversation. I think this has been cool. It's definitely not the last time I want to have you on the podcast. I'm pretty sure my listener base will enjoy this episode. I know we touched on quite a few things that may enrich the soul, may help with emotional development, may help to empower somebody else. And before we get out of here, I want to ask, what is some of the best advice you've ever received in your life? That's a big ass question.
It is. Follow your heart. We allow a lot of external entities to change our minds about what it is we feel we want to do or contribute to or be a part of. And you said it earlier that growing up, a lot of strange people around, and most of them were homeless. Needed a place to stay or food to eat. And again, I was a good cook, still am. And I cook and feed. Follow your heart. Don't let people deter you from your dream, because they surely will try.
Y'all give it up. Y'all give it up for that nugget of wisdom. I can definitely get on board with that. Yes. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Your mother's a clown.
Thank you for your time, for your participation, for your willingness, for your honesty, for your transparency, for giving birth to me. And I appreciate you. I'm sure my listeners appreciate you. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here with us at the You Feel That community in the Feel Fam. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. I hope you ask me back. And let me just finish with, when I get off of this, I'm going to have a good cry tonight because I'm feeling emotional. It's what I see in you, I'm so very proud of.
Oh, man, all the warm and fuzzies. All right, so before we get out of here, I got to ask you, if you are on an Apple device, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a rating and review. So the cool thing about ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts is that I'm not sure how the algorithm works with the stars, but when it comes to like in-depth reviews, like if I, as a podcast listener, when I go to a new podcast I've never listened to and I see like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or 11 or 12 or 13, 14, 15 reviews with heartfelt reviews that people took the time out to leave, like, it's okay, I'm gonna listen to that podcast. And if I show up to a podcast and I don't see reviews, sometimes it take a little bit more for me to pick up that podcast and listen to it. So if you can, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a rating and review, preferably one like a paragraph or something. If this show has done anything for you, that would do a lot for me. You can go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, come through, check us out. We got a whole bunch of cool things on the YouTube channel. That's also, if you come here for You Feel That, you'll also get everything else that I put on my YouTube channel, including music videos. There's a couple documentaries already in existence on there. So come check out all the content thus far and tap in for the ride for all the new content that we're going to put out. And my book, The Handbook, is dropping in January 2022. And I want you to get a glimpse of the handbook. So in wherever you're listening to this podcast, the show notes, it'll be a link that you can click that'll get you to be able to get a free advanced chapter of the handbook. It's the chapter on gratitude. It'll change the way that you view gratitude, and it's definitely worth it, especially for it being free. So go ahead, click that link and get sent to that chapter. Give me your email, join the mailing list, and then I'll be able to shoot to you when the book drops and all the other cool stuff that we do over here. And share this podcast with 5 people. Everything that we do here, You Feel That, has been super organic thus far. We're going to get into some different type of marketing tactics, but so far, it's been nothing but organic reach. Everybody who has reached out to me has heard from somebody who's heard from somebody who's heard from somebody this podcast. So it means a lot if you share this podcast with just 5 people. Follow me on social media at Bryce the Third and at You Feel That Podcast. And usually this is where I'll leave a quote. You don't necessarily had no quote today. So I guess our quote is from the great Karen Davis. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. Listen to that inner intuition. Listen to that inner compass. And if that relationship that you have with that inner compass is a little rusty, we can start to add some warmth, add some guidance to the inner compass by beginning today. Because today is the most important day that you'll ever experience. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on You Feel That with Bryce the Third. Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed that episode with me and my mom. It definitely holds a special place in my heart, and I think it brings up a bit of a contemplation around vulnerability and how important it may be to open up, to allow for our experience to permeate our hearts. And so now, as promised, we'll get into the meditation portion of this run back episode. So find you a comfortable position. If you have somewhere you can sit down, and you can close your eyes now if you feel comfortable. If you're out and about, you can still participate in this meditation with your eyes open as you drive to where you're driving to, or from where you're driving from, or on the bus, or at the grocery store, wherever. Just give us a bit of contemplation. Contemplate upon what it is that we discuss throughout this meditation. We'll start with some deep breathing in the nostrils and out the mouth. We'll do this maybe 5 times. Once in the nostrils, out the mouth. In the nostrils, out the mouth. In the nostrils, out the mouth. I'll do 3 more. In the nostrils, big deep breaths. Out the mouth. Don't be afraid of how you look if you're in the grocery store and you're taking these big deep breaths. Out the mouth. Last one in the nostrils. Out the mouth. Returning to the natural state of the breath, which, if we had a little more time, we would meditate upon a little more. But for now, just know that there is no wrong way for the breath to show up. We allow for the breath to show up however the breath needs to show up, whether that be short, long, rapid, shallow. This is the natural state of the breath. Bringing our awareness and our attention to the rise and fall of the body along the natural wave of that natural state of the breath. However you're showing up in this moment is absolutely perfect. I wanted to talk a bit today in our meditation about vulnerability. The process of letting our walls down so that we can touch life and life can touch us. As you heard in the episode with my mom, there are some ways that she felt at that time of her life that she couldn't be her true self or couldn't be vulnerable because she had to be strong. A lot of us can tend to feel this way, as if we're the pillar, and if we show any sign of weakness or softness, that we will crumble and everything will crumble around us. But what I've come to discover is that oftentimes this hardening prevents certain aspects from life from coming in. I'm not here to debate the justification of why we've hardened. Trust me, I've had plenty of opportunity to harden and plenty of reasons as to why I did so. It protected me. It kept me safe. But in this moment, we just want to practice bringing awareness to the process of hardening, becoming conscious of that hardening, looking at it and seeing it instead of being of it, so that we can at least have the choice as to how we decide to show up. No longer being a victim of our circumstances, but being a warden of our choice. Notice if there are any parts of the body that are stiff, holding stress. Are the shoulders shrugged up? Allow them to fall. What about our core? Is our core tight? Are we sucking our stomach in? Allow the core to relax. Allow our jaw to loosen. The area of our eyes to soften. With each and every in-breath and out-breath, a bit more relaxation, a bit more softening. This is your reminder that you deserve a space where you can be soft. You deserve a space where you can be expressed without judgment. Feeling the body rise and fall along the natural state of the breath. You are inherently perfect. You are whole. You are complete. There's no need to protect. We can soften. It's okay. Some of us may believe that it is naive to soften. If I'm soft and vulnerable, I open myself up to attack. Somebody can come in and take it all. On the contrary, our softness allows for us to have perception that allows for us to see the entire playing field. When we are no longer in survival, having to harden and push out our experience, we can see the full spectrum of the experience and make better decisions, choose better peers, put ourselves in more aligning circumstances, and come into understanding with ourselves unlike we've ever have before. Instead of shielding ourselves off from life, we fully embrace life by being soft in our unfolding and allow for the pain that may come with it. But in enduring that pain, we cultivate a strength unlike anything we've ever possessed. It is okay to be vulnerable. You deserve to be vulnerable. You deserve to be held. Who will hold me, Bryce? I only can think of those who will take advantage of me and my softness. Maybe you are there to hold you. And because the world is a mirror, maybe when we treat ourselves and hold ourselves in such a way that allows for us to show up fully, then we'll tolerate nothing less. Maybe the world is waiting on you. As this meditation comes to a close, remember this awareness. Remember how closely we looked at the process of shutting off, walling off ourselves from the world. Once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. You've seen it now. Let's continue to design our lives in a way that allows for us to show up vulnerable. You deserve it. We'll end with 3 deep breaths in the nostrils. Feeling the body rise out of the mouth. In the nostrils. Feeling the body rise and fill up with air out of the mouth. Last breath in the nostrils. Out of the mouth. You are worthy. You are worth it. You are whole. You are complete. At this moment, if your eyes were closed, you may blink your eyes open. If you were out and about at the grocery store, I hope it was a good grocery trip. And I thank you for allowing me to share my practice with you. I hope it has been an addition to your life. I thank you for listening to the podcast. We're going to keep chugging along. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep getting vulnerable. open, raw. We're going to do it ugly because we know the life that we desire. It may be raw, it may be ugly, it may hurt, but it's worth every bit. I'll catch you next time on You Feel That with Bryce the Third.